Two, it started with a confrontation and ended in death. The public has rendered one verdict and the courtroom another. We want to talk about perception versus reality in the Karmelo Anthony case. This is No Contest, the Kolsrud and King report. I'm Claudia King here with Josh Kolsrud. How are you today, my friend?
Oh, I'm great. I'm leaving soon for vacation and a seminar, and I'm almost in vacation mode.
I
Like when
love
you
it.
see it coming, you planned it out, and you're just ready to go. I do have to work tomorrow. It's probably going
Mm.
to be the toughest day of the year because I just want to get out of here. But I am excited, and I can't wait to tell you guys all about it.
I can't wait to hear about it. And so since you're close to in vacation mode, we're going to make this a shorter no contest episode, but we wanted to weigh in on this particular case because everybody
It's
else has
important.
weighed in on it,
Yeah.
and we wanted to talk about it for a minute. So Josh, first and foremost, I want to get your thoughts on no cameras in the courtroom. So, we're talking about Karmelo Anthony. He was recently convicted of murder for Austin Metcalf. They had a confrontation at a track meet. Karmelo ended up stabbing him. He claimed self defense. The jury did not buy it. He was given 35 years. He's currently in prison. There's a lot of opinions, though, on this case, and it was very volatile. Do you think not having cameras in the courtroom was a smart decision by the judge?
It's a tough one. In state courts, as opposed to federal, it's discretionary about whether or not a judge will allow cameras, meaning that it can be allowed only with permission by the judge. If it's federal, it's never allowed. And in this case, we have a very volatile situation because you have a black defendant and a white victim. And to kind of piggyback off of what you said, the defendant in this case was at a track meet at a different school, and he brought a knife to this track meet at a different school, and then he went to the tent area belonging to the other team, and when the victim, and this is uncontested, this part of the
Mm-hmm.
story, uh, told him to leave, uh, he didn't want to. And he kept on saying, please touch me, touch me, touch me. Some reports say that the victim pushed him once. Some say that he didn't push him at all. But after the push, uh, Carmelo Anthony stabbed the victim in the chest and he died. Uh, and first of all, why are you bringing a knife to a track meet? And then, second of all, what are you doing in the opposite tent, where you're obviously there to cause some problems? There's no reason for somebody from a different school to go to a track meet in an opposing tent, unless you know somebody over there. But that wasn't the case because it would have come out at trial. Now, it's a very volatile situation, and it started out volatile. And there was a GoFundMe page where Carmelo Anthony's family raised hundreds of thousands of dollars for his defense. And so it was evident that you had an entire community that was supporting Carmelo Anthony. And, you know, then we had the trial, and it was certainly covered in all of the media. And once it was over, he was sentenced fairly fast to, I think, 35 years to life.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and then afterwards, what we saw, unfortunately, was a lot of unrest. You saw people committing violence and trespassing and vandalism outside of the courthouse. And there was a huge divide among the people who thought he was guilty versus the people who didn't think he was guilty. And, what I would love to know would be from the people who believe that he wasn't guilty. Why do you say that? Because in self defense, the legal version of it. You can only respond with force that's equal to the force that is against you. And you can't use a knife unless your life is objectively in danger, meaning that the other person is using a weapon against you, or he has a weapon in his hand and it's apparent that he intends to use it. Like, you just can't use a deadly weapon when someone pushes you. And again, there are accounts that the victim didn't push him at all. So, like, if people are outraged, I would love to know why. Like, what about this verdict is so bad in terms of its result because of the facts? Because the facts seem pretty clear that, first of all, there's no question about who did it. There really is only a question about whether or not self-defense was appropriate, and it clearly was not. So I think your original question, should cameras have been left in the room? Now that I think about it, yes. Because the people that are mad, I think they're missing something. They're missing a piece of the puzzle that has to do with the facts of the case. And, there's a saying that I love, which is, facts don't care about your feelings. They are what they are. And if you heard the facts and you're interested in justice, I think that having it live on TV would have helped.
I agree with you. And I just want to run through a couple things that you said and just kind of echo and comment on them. First off, I ran track in high school and college and everywhere else in between. And there were even times when I was dating somebody who went to another school. I didn't go under their tent, nor did they come in my team's area either, because like that's your sacred area. So even
Sacred.
dating someone, like, no, like you're over if we're going to talk, we're going to do it in a neutral space. Like, you're not coming over here, I'm not going over there. And then, and granted, this was a couple years ago, but the deadliest thing I ever took to a track meet was a spike key for my shoes. That's it. Like a spike key.
And your attitude.
That is actually the deadliest thing I brought. Thank you. Thank you, Josh. This is why we're so good together. Yes, and people have said, well, we don't know what Karmelo deals with and what he's been through, and that is true. But if you feel so unsafe that you need to take an unauthorized weapon, not illegal, because it was legal,
on
but
school
it was
ground,
against policy, if
yeah.
you feel so in danger that you need to do that, then you probably shouldn't be there. Like, if I feel like, oh, well, I got to go to this hospital, but I really need to take my bazooka with me and I'm not supposed to take it, then I probably shouldn't go.
Oh, you just made me realize something really important.
Was it bazooka?
So, yeah, it was. How'd you know? So in trial, there's a black and white rule that if you're the cause of the situation, you cannot claim self-defense. So in this situation, walking into an opposing tent is creating the situation, which is another reason why self-defense was not appropriate. I mean, just imagine this. Like, let's say you play baseball and you're just a person from the other team's like fan base, and you go into the dugout of the other team hoping that they react to you. I mean, what do you think is going to happen?
Right.
Or let's say like you're playing basketball and you go into the locker room of the opposing team and you start talking crap. I mean, what do you think is going to happen? I mean, it's obvious to anybody with common sense what Karmelo Anthony's motivations were. So, like, what am I missing? What am I missing?
Well, that's what I want to know. And I'm glad I mean, you were a bit of a thunder thief because I was going to get there, but that's okay. I was going to bring up that same point though, is what people have to understand about self-defense is yes, you cannot create a situation and then claim self-defense. And so let's even give him the grace of walking under the tent. I'm going to give him that, even though we shouldn't, but I'm going to give him that. According to witnesses, he was asked up to 15 times to
And
leave.
15 minutes. He was in there for like 15 minutes.
To leave
Yeah.
and didn't. And so when you refuse and then you say, touch me and find out, touch me and find out, that is provoking a situation. And you can't provoke and then say, I was just defending myself. Well, no, because you started it. You can't start it so that you can finish it and claim self-defense. It's not okay.
Yeah.
Not
And
okay.
you have to wonder what was going through Carmelo Anthony's mind when he did this. I almost feel like he thought he could get away with it. That, maybe he's seen so much stuff on TV that he felt like, if this guy touches me, I'm justified in stabbing him.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what it sounded like. He sounded like he was convinced that if the victim touched him, he was justified to use a knife
Right.
because he said so. I mean, he literally asked, and this is uncontroverted, touch me, please touch me. And then when he was arrested, he admitted to doing it, but he said,
Mm-hmm.
he touched me. He touched me. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I think that he literally believed that he could do this. But even if it's true that he thought that, just because you think you can do something doesn't mean you should.
Right.
I mean, let's say he was right. Like, yeah, you can use a knife. And this, why would you want to go stab somebody just because you can? Like, that's
Right.
psycho.
No, yeah, it's not okay. And but I agree with you, is there, on TV and just the things that we see in the world today that he thought, well, yeah, if he puts his hands on me, then I can use deadly force. And if that is what he thought, by gosh, anybody that watches this, please understand that that is not the case. You cannot do that. You have to be able to articulate a reasonable belief of deadly threat or serious bodily injury to yourself or to another that you are defending against. And then you can still only use like force with like force. So, I mean, he's got a long time to figure this out, Josh. His team has already filed an appeal. Apparently they filed it like within hours of
A
the
notice of appeal.
verdict. Oh,
Yeah.
no, okay, thank you. Because I was like, how did they
Yeah.
have the appeal ready? Shouldn't they have been working on
No.
trial? So I'm glad you cleared
Yeah.
that up. That made me
Yeah. Yeah, I
uncomfortable.
think you have about 14 days to file a notice of appeal, and that just preserves the right to do so. Yeah, no, they haven't filed the
Perfect.
actual. Yeah, that'll probably take months. Definitely.
Well, let's just make sure, let's give them the little warning that apparently Mackenzie Sharilla's attorney did not get. Count your days. Don't be a day
That's right.
late and a peso short.
Oh my God. Yep. That's absolute great callback. Remind everybody what happened that day.
So, Mackenzie Sharilla case, her appellate attorney files this wondrous, allegedly, appeal to get her free. You have 365 days to file an appeal. 365. And the courts are like, this is a deadline. Well, it was leap year. And so they miscounted. And they counted
Mm-hmm.
like, August 31st to August 30th next year. No, it was leap year, so there was an extra day. So it was due a day before. He filed it a day late. Now, they have appealed that to the Supreme Court in Ohio, but people are saying, like legal experts are saying, like, I don't think they're going to do it because once it's late, that court no longer has standing.
Yep. And
So,
the circuit court, the federal circuit court, already denied it, and it makes it much more difficult for the state Supreme Court to go against what the federal court already ruled on. Uh, and yeah, when it comes to deadlines in the law, it is deadly serious, black and
Mm-hmm.
white. There's no going around it. And she is most likely going to be spending, the vast majority of her life in prison because of it, and rightfully so.
I agree. And how awkward, like how super awkies was that conversation that her attorney, who I'm sure he passed off to a paralegal, but how super awkies was that conversation of like,
Yeah,
so that great appeal that we did,
yeah.
yeah, we miscounted the days. Sorry. I
Oh
don't feel bad
man,
though. I don't feel bad, but that's a bad day for that person. I
that's
don't
a
know if it's a
bad
man
day.
or a woman. Josh, we wanted this to be a quick one because it's vacation mode. Anything else you want to say today on Karmelo Anthony?
I hope, if anything, that this case will teach people who may have thought that using a knife in a similar situation is okay, because it's not. And if you do so, you're most likely going to be found guilty and spend a lot of time in prison. Uh, don't go to an opposing school's games and try to pick fights with the entire team.
Just
That's
don't.
another lesson. Yeah, if anything, hopefully it's prevented other people from going to prison, because this is really a remarkable case. I think of ignorance of the law, where you just think that you can get away with something, but you're wrong. You can't, and you can't take it back, because once someone's dead, that's all there is to it.
I am going to obviously, again, agree with everything that you said. I am going to also add one thing. I would recommend people, most gun ranges or a lot of gun ranges have simulators. Some other places have them. You can pick up your Google machine or your phone and look for, a simulator that does different life, death scenarios and go do one of those, because it gives you the opportunity, and it's usually firearm related, but it gives you the opportunity to actually be in scenarios where you have to make the decision, am I allowed to shoot or am I not? And it can be very eye-opening for people to do those simulations and see what it feels like, or get a taste of it in that moment. Your adrenaline's rushing and you're looking at different things to see what it feels like when you're faced with that split second decision. Can I or can't I? That's what people need to do, in my opinion. So I would highly recommend everybody find one of those simulators. They're super fun as well because you're not actually going to die. So it's great. Josh, always a pleasure. Once
You
again,
too.
another amazing episode with you. I can't wait to see you next week. We're going to have another awesome case to share with you guys. For Josh Kolsrud, I'm Claudia King. This is No Contest, the Kolsrud and King Report. We'll see you next week.